we got to talk about Brad Marchand
Do we?
and some of the comments that he made before the Bruins played the Leafs.
You are excited. I like to look at your face as you're prepping something up. You are excited for this one.
I am beyond excited. And let me go off for a second, okay? First of all, let me set the foundation for this conversation we're about to have. So before the Bruins played the Leafs, Brad Marchand went, I shouldn't say he went on a rant, but he was addressing a number of topics. He was talking about trash talking the Leafs and how there's really no one on the Leafs who enjoys trash talk, and that when Marner's on the ice, all he talks about is video games and his dog. And he said that Marner's skates are ugly. And listen, I respect the hell out of Brad Marchand because he provides so much personality to a sport and to a league that desperately needs it.
Yeah.
And I should also mention that later in that same conversation, he actually talked very highly about Mitch Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs and talked about how much he respects Mitch Marner's game, how Marner's an undersized guy like him, but that Marner's not afraid to go to the dirty areas, not afraid to go into the corners, not afraid to go to the front of the net. Like, Marchand respects the hell out of Mitch Marner. But here's where I gotta call out Brad Marchand, because
here we go.
He made a comment saying that he and his Boston Bruins teammates all took less money to win.
Yeah.
I could even read his exact quote.
Do it, Bruno.
Let me pull up this quote, okay? Brad Marchand said, according to Luke Fox from Sportsnet, guys have tried to take less to win because we know that it bleeds through the lineup. If you can have 6 guys that make lower salary other than 3, seemingly taking a direct shot at the Leafs, it's a lot harder to play against. And that's why we've been good for so long. But here's where I take exception to that. Because Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and Patrice Bergeron did not take less money to win. They all signed their long contract extensions for fair market value at the time they were signed. Brad Marchand, Exhibit A, okay? He was entering his age 28 season, coming off a career-high 61 points in September of 2016 when he signed his big extension for, let me pull it up exactly here, 8 years, $6.125 million AAV. At the time, that's what Brad Marchand was worth. He did not have the leverage to go into negotiations with Boston and ask for $8 or $9 million.
Yeah.
He was entering his age 28 season, okay? And his career high up to that point was 61 points. We are not talking about a superstar player. Now, since then, he's obviously greatly outperformed that contract, and it looks like a complete bargain, but he did not knowingly take less money to win championships. The same goes for David Pastrnak, who signed his contract coming off a 70-point season, great season, but he didn't have the leverage to ask for $8 or $9 million. And especially when he signed his contract, there was just a different landscape in 2017. He signed for market value, 6.66 AAV. Patrice Bergeron, same thing. He signed for 8 years, 6.875 AAV in 2013. Bergeron was entering his age 28 season at the time as a one-time 30-goal scorer, and he had only won 1 of his 5 Selke trophies when signing that contract. Since signing, he's won 4 of his 5 Selke trophies.
Wow.
And has actually become one of the best two-way players in the league. I'm not saying he wasn't a great two-way player, but at the time, he wasn't considered like a top 10 to 15 player in the world. So this idea that the Boston Bruins all took less money to win championships is a load of shit. What they did was sign for fair market value at the time, and now they've all outperformed their contracts. And now the Bruins have been lucky because they are all now on team-friendly deals. And I'll end on this. Like Nathan MacKinnon. It would be like Nathan MacKinnon coming out and saying, we just won the Stanley Cup because all of us here in Colorado take less money. Nathan MacKinnon was coming off a 52-point season when he signed for 7 years and $6.3 million AAV. Now, Nathan MacKinnon never came out and said that he took less money, but that's how stupid this would be because he didn't take less money. That's what he was worth, and now he's a superstar. So don't backtrack and say, we all took less money when none of you fucking did that. End rant. I need to take a breath.
Yeah, maybe I should go for a bit. Well, my simple response, you hear it all the time, and naturally people are going to do it because even if it's indirectly, it takes shots at the Leafs. I never remember contracts being signed and people being like, oh my God, so-and-so took a discount. You never hear that. And if they do, it's a shade. Oh yeah, he maybe could have got more on the open market, but he took a little less. These guys aren't going to take less. It's a business. So I challenge people whenever this comes up, show me a Twitter rant or show me an article that was written about Brad Marchand's contract when he signed it. Will it state that he took a crazy hometown discount? No. One thing I will point to, and maybe this is what he should have taken a shot at with the Leafs, as far as their contracts go, is the term. And I've said before on this show that the biggest thing about those contracts that piss me off is that these guys didn't sign for the max term. Imagine we were sitting here, Bruno. Imagine with Austin Matthews at his current salary, and we would have had 4 more years left of it. If he signed for the full 8, we'd have next year. He signed a 5-year deal next year and 3 more. We'd be laughing. And then throw in, imagine COVID didn't happen and the cap kept going up. We'd be laughing. But we're in this situation because of the term. So if you want to take shots at the Leafs and their core for the deals they took, and by that I mean Nylander, Matthews, and Marner, go right ahead, because I've done that. So, and I was angry when that happened. But in terms of the value, these guys don't take a discount. If anything, a lot of these guys, there's even examples of guys in the NHL who people point to, oh, they took a discount. Like, I was here, Draisaitl. Oh, he took a team-friendly contract.
No, he didn't.
People were flipping the fuck out when Chiarelli gave him $8 million, I remember. They thought, oh, he's ruining the league, giving a guy like this. And now it looks amazing because of years later, right? So I think the focus, if there is a focus on shitting on the Leafs when it comes to the contracts, is the term. It's the term. But in terms of the salary, no one takes less. And like I said, if they do, it's a smidge just to stay home and not have to take their kids out of school and move their family. But it's a business, man. It's a business. And get ready for more of these takes and more of these stories, because we got Nylander and Matthews negotiating soon. And then it'll be Marner. And then it'll be Tavares. And off we go, right? It's going to be a stressful time for Leafs fans. But yeah, no, it's all trash. Guys don't take less money. And I would say that you put it in perspective, even from the fan side, let's say a guy signs for $6 million. Okay. Or say a guy signs for like $7 or $8 million, and a team friendly discount of 6 or 7 on an 8-year contract. You think a guy's going to throw away $16 million? $16 million. No,
you think
one's doing.
Brad Marchand went into negotiations and said, like, oh, you know what? I'm really a $9 million player coming off a career high 61 points, but I'm going to take 6.125 out of the goodness of my heart. If he was worth $9 million, guess what, everybody? He would have signed for $9 million or something in that range.
I always point to the agents in this case. I mean, even if the player feels that way, the agents, I'm sure, are going to try to talk him out of it. And one thing I've always assumed is more a part of the negotiation process than we think it is the union. I think the union's involved in negotiations more than we think it is. When a guy goes to the table, they're trying to get him as much money as possible, like whether it's a teachers union, a government union, anyone, the carpentry union, you're trying to get as much money as possible. So the union wants Austin Matthews to sign a $15 million deal. They want guys to get overpaid, right? So it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing, but we have seen in recent years the old man discounts. Like,
yeah,
Bergeron.
And that's what happened with Bergeron and Krejci. And I'm not talking about those two deals, or those guys coming back for one last run with the boys, signing these 1-year deals. Sure. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those big extensions that those big 3 guys signed in 2017 for Pasternak, 2016 Marchand, 2013 Bergeron. Yeah. None of them took less money. They all took fair market value at the time, what they were worth. And if they outplay their contracts, which they all did, that's great for the team. That's great for the organization. But then don't backtrack and say that your team all took less money. Look at Charlie McAvoy, their number 1 defenseman. He just signed a long-term deal for $9.5 million. Yeah. That's not taking less money. He's worth that, but he didn't say, I'm worth 12 million and I'm taking 9.5. No, he's worth 9.5, and that's what he got.
Because I just love the Boston Bruins, right?
It's just, It's sickening, man. And again, you nailed it with your Leafs take and how you worked that in. A lot of people responded to my TikTok video being like, "You're a salty Leafs fan and you're an idiot. The Leafs overpaid all their guys." I'm not even talking about the Leafs in this conversation. I'm not defending the Leafs for giving Mitch Marner $10.9 million or even signing John Tavares in free agency for $11 million, which honestly, that was his market value at the time. The Sharks were offering him like $13 million. I'm not saying that those weren't overpays. I'm not saying that even, maybe you could even argue they overpaid Austin Matthews a little bit. I don't think they did. I think he's completely worth the value of his contract. Like, I'm not defending the Leafs in any way. I'm just calling out Brad Marchand, who's trying to act like the entire band all took less money to win championships. And guess what? Since they all signed those long-term extensions, the Bruins haven't won anything.
That's right.
They haven't won a Stanley Cup.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and the last point I'll make here, Lepore, you want to look at a team that actually took a little bit of a pay cut to win? The one team I will point to is the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, maybe because of the tax thing, but either way, they took cuts. Yeah.
That is the one prime example of a team with its top end players when they were up for new contracts actually all took less than market value. Kucherov was worth more than 9.5 at the time. Even Braden Point,
I was confused when he signed that deal.
Yeah, Braden Point, who signed that bridge deal and then signed for 9.5. I would argue that he's worth more than that. And even Andrei Vasilevsky, the best goalie in the NHL, Carey Price, signed a deal for $10 million. Same with Bobrovsky. You're telling me Andrei Vasilevsky couldn't have asked for more than that? He took 9.5. Not a single player on that team makes more than 9.5. But the point I'm trying to make is when they signed those extensions, at that moment in time, they were all worth more on the market. Whereas those Bruins guys, I'm sorry, you go look at the comparables at the time, none of them were worth significantly more than what they signed for on the market. Maybe a little bit, maybe $500K to $1 million here or there, but not the significant raises that people think that like people saying Marchand could have got $9 million back in 2016. Are you on fucking drugs?
That would have been like more. That would have been like more than Crosby at the time or something.
Just outrageous. Anyway, I really had to get that off my chest because, like I said, a lot of the times I look at the comments on social media and there's a lot of trolls and a lot of just weird comments. And there's a lot of smart people too. I should say that. A lot of smart people. Some of the comments I see are just absolute fucking stupidity. Like, wake up and actually listen and give your take, back it up with evidence. Don't be hateful. Like, actually understand what the other person is saying. Learn how to comprehend certain things instead of just spewing off garbage that doesn't make sense. And you're backing up your takes with no evidence. Like, Jesus. Anyway, I've lost faith. Based on that last video I posted, I've actually lost faith in humanity to a certain degree. I really have.
Like I said, it's about fandom, but I'm actually kind of surprised it took you this long to lose faith in sports humanity, to be honest.